Hi there, and welcome to Speak Fluent English podcast, where we focus on real life English you can actually use. Whether you're doing the dishes, going for a walk, or relaxing in your room, I'm glad you're here. Because today's episode is packed with phrases that native speakers use every day, the kind of expressions that don't always show up in textbooks. You might already know some English words, but using the right phrases in natural situations, that's what helps you speak with confidence and sound more fluent. So, in today's episode, I'll guide you through 25 everyday English phrases, the kind of things people say in casual conversations, at work, at home, with friends. And I won't just give you the phrase. I'll explain what it means, and I'll give you an example so it actually sticks. Let's begin. You come home after a long day, drop your bag, and say, "I'm completely worn out." That's a natural way to say you're very tired. You could also say I'm exhausted, but worn out feels a bit more casual and emotional. For example, I worked a double shift today. I'm totally worn out. Now a friend invites you to go out, but you just want to rest. You reply, "Can I take a rain check?" This doesn't mean you're checking the weather. It means you're politely saying, "Not now, but maybe later." For instance, "Thanks for inviting me, but I'll take a rain check. I need a quiet night." It's Sunday morning. You wake up late and smile. I slept in." That means you woke up later than usual, usually on purpose or by accident. For example, "I usually get up at 6, but I slept in until 9 today." Looking at your messy schedule and cluttered room, you think, "I really need to get my act together." This means you want to be more organized or focused. For example, "I've missed 2 deadlines this week. I need to get my act together." Your friend is frustrated about something. You listen and say, "I get where you're coming from." This is a gentle way to say, "I understand your feelings or point of view." For instance, "You're upset, and I totally get where you're coming from." You're having a discussion, and someone makes a good point. You nod and say, "That's a fair point." This means you're right, but in a respectful, thoughtful way. For example, "I see what you mean about the budget. That's a fair point." You're late for a meeting, and you text, "Hey, I'm running a bit behind." This is a more polite, casual way of saying you're going to be late. For example, "Sorry, I'm running behind. Traffic is crazy this morning." A friend is nervous before a presentation. You smile and say, "You've got this." It means, "I believe in you." A simple but powerful way to give someone confidence. For example, "Don't worry about your speech. You've got this." Your coworker says, "I've never done this before, but I'll try." You say, "Just give it your best shot." This means do your best. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just try. For example, even if you don't win, just give it your best shot. After the presentation, you clap and say, "You nailed it." It means you did an amazing job. For example, "Your performance was flawless. You really nailed it." You're trying to decide what to eat. You say, "I'm torn between pizza and pasta." This means you're finding it hard to choose between 2 options. For example, "I'm torn between going to the beach or staying home." Someone tells you a crazy story. You say, "No way, seriously?" This expresses surprise, disbelief, or amazement. For example, "You won the lottery? No way." Your phone rings while you're in the middle of something. You say, "Can I call you back?" This is a polite way to say, "Not now, but later." For example, "I'm in the middle of something. Can I call you back in 10 minutes?" Someone is really bothering you. You take a deep breath and say, "You're getting on my nerves." That means they're starting to annoy you a lot. For example, "He keeps interrupting me. It's really getting on my nerves." You're confused. You ask, "What are you getting at?" This means, "What are you trying to say?" What's your point? For example, you keep talking around the issue. What exactly are you getting at? A friend is overthinking something small. You say, don't make a big deal out of it. It means, don't overreact. It's not that serious. For example, it was just a small mistake. Don't make a big deal out of it. You're about to share your opinion. You say, for what it's worth. This softens your statement and shows you're being thoughtful. For example, for what it's worth, I think you're doing a great job. You need a moment. You say, let me sleep on it. This means I need to think before deciding. For example, that's a big decision. Let me sleep on it and I'll tell you tomorrow. Someone gives you exciting news. You smile and say, fingers crossed. It means I hope everything works out. For example, my interview is tomorrow. Fingers crossed I get the job. You hear someone say something rude. You respond, that was uncalled for. It means that was unnecessary or hurtful. For example, you didn't need to say that. It was really uncalled for. You want to be honest, even if it's not easy. You say, to be honest? This prepares the listener for an honest, maybe difficult opinion. For example, to be honest, I don't think this is the right choice. Someone helps you and you say, I really appreciate it. It's more genuine and warm than just saying thanks. For example, thanks for staying late to help me. I really appreciate it. You're finishing a meeting. You say, let's wrap this up. It means, let's finish. A very common casual phrase. For example, we've covered everything. Let's wrap this up. Your friend is overreacting again. You say, you're blowing this out of proportion. This means you're treating this like a bigger problem than it is. For example, it was a small mistake. Don't blow it out of proportion. Someone asks how you are. You say, I can't complain. It's a humble way of saying, I'm doing fine. For example, life's good. I can't complain. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. These 25 phrases may sound simple, but they're powerful tools for expressing yourself clearly, naturally, and with confidence. Try using even one or two of them today. The more you hear and speak them, the more natural they'll become. Thanks for listening to Speak Fluent English podcast. If this episode helped you, please follow, share, or leave a review. And remember, the way to fluency is practice, patience, and presence. See you next time.